Hi, my name's Meg, and today I'll be reviewing Molek-Syntez from Zachtronics. This game was released in November 2019, although you could be forgiven for thinking it's a little bit older than that with its retro vibe. The game revolves around you, the player, synthesizing and creating molecules from atoms and precursor compounds. So let's dive in and take a look at the gameplay. I'm going to show you one of the easier levels, nitrous oxide. And this is what the level looks like. It's a bit blank and it looks a little intimidating, but it's actually straightforward once you get the hang of it. So within this hexagon, I need to make our target molecule here, which involves 2 nitrogens and an oxygen. In order to do that, I need to use some molecules from the precursor catalog. I can choose any and as many of these as I need. So I need something with nitrogen. I'm going to choose ammonia. Actually, I'm going to use 2 ammonias and an oxygen. There we go, I'll use water. Now, if you hadn't already noticed, all of these molecules found in the precursor catalog and in the levels are all real-life molecules, and this is how they are structured and their chemical formula, like H2O for water. So now that I've got these set up on my grid, I want to start trying to get them to connect or bond with one another. So that means I need to start removing these little hydrogens. Now down the bottom right here is sort of a reminder of the maximum number of bonds each different element can take. So nitrogen can only have 3 bonds and they're currently all taken up with hydrogens. So I need to take those hydrogens away, and the way to do that is to use these little things here, the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They can be moved around, they can be rotated and placed wherever you need along the side of the hexagon. So for this one, I'm going to use number 1. Number 1's pointing straight at this nitrogen here, and I want to remove these hydrogens. So I need to give the number 1 some instructions in this grid up the top left here, and these are the instructions I have to choose from. So I can rotate the molecules, which I don't need in this level. I can push them around the grid. I can add hydrogens, which I don't want. I can remove hydrogens. I can also shift hydrogens between molecules. I can move the emitters during the solution and pull and delete and submit the molecule. So in this case, I want to remove hydrogens, so I need to hold down the button F while I click on number 1. So my number 1 emitter is now going to, if I press the step play button, is now going to remove 3 hydrogens from whatever molecule is in its beam. Now that worked, but I also need to remove these hydrogens here, so I'm just going to use 2 and 4 because they are already in position. So holding down F under number 2, I need to remove 3 hydrogens again, and under number 4 I need to remove 2 hydrogens. So let's have a look at what happens here. So you can see now as I start removing hydrogens, the atoms that are sitting next to one another will automatically try and form bonds with whatever is nearby. Now I have reached my target molecule. So the next step is to hold down C and just get any of the emitters, so I'll use number 1, to submit my solution. Now when the solution gets submitted, those precursors will pop back up again, and I'm going to loop my solution again and again until it makes 120 target molecules, which is the quota for this level. And at the end of every level you get this histogram, which is sort of a feature found in many Zachtronics puzzle games. So it tells me how many cycles I used to complete the level, how many modules I used, which is a combination of how many emitters, which is the numbers around the outside, and how many precursor molecules I used. So I used 3 precursors and 3 emitters, which comes to 6, and how many symbols I used in my instruction set. So I could see this being used in the classroom as a bit of friendly competition amongst students to try and get the most efficient solution possible in a level. And so you can go back and keep editing and refining your solutions. But if I go back to the menu. So you can see there are a lot of levels. There's even extra puzzles on a whole nother page. So this game will take you a little while. It is a single player game, but I can see 2 or 3 students, perhaps 2 would be a good number, working together on the same puzzle, viewing on one screen, working well as well. Or alternatively, groups of students working together on the game, viewing it on a projector screen would also work. So where could I see this game being used in the classroom? I could see Molek-Syntez being used well in a senior school chemistry classroom, so a chemistry course that covers organic chemistry in particular, as this is what the game is most closely related to. I could also see it being useful for sort of entry-level university chemistry as well, where organic chemistry is treated as its own separate topic. Now, the molecules in the game are actually real-life molecules, so it's great for a starting point on a discussion around real-life uses of molecules and perhaps how those molecules affect the body. You would have noticed that some of the molecules in the game perhaps do not have the most beneficial effects on the human body, and some of them are found in illicit drugs. So this is the one, I guess you could say, downside of the game, is that the content, although it does not in any way promote illicit drugs or drug taking, it does include those drugs as some of the molecules that you are creating. Obviously, it is not teaching you how to make these molecules at home, as the molecular synthesizing machine is really fiction, and is not how that happens in real life. In saying that, I think it's a great starting point for talking about these things. You could tie this also in with the health curriculum, which looks at illicit drugs and the effects of them on the human body, and perhaps trying to warn adolescents off taking illicit drugs by looking at how they negatively impact your body. So this could be a starting point for that discussion as well. So whether that's a deal breaker for you or not is up to you to decide. There is also some swear words that appear as you solve through some of the levels. A story or a few lines of text appear and sort of tell a very subtle, low-key story in between solving the puzzle levels, and some of that text involves the F word. But it's not common and it's not on the screen the whole time. So again, that's up to you whether one mention of the F word is a deal breaker for this game. Molek-Syntez is available on PC, Mac, and Linux. It doesn't take much to run the game, so you could even run this on a pretty low-powered laptop as well. It's available for $10 US or about $15 Australian on the Steam store. Otherwise, if you work for a non-profit educational institution, you can contact Zachtronics through their website to get access to free Zachtronics games. That's right, free! But as they say on their website, it is important to think about what you want to use this game for, or any other Zachtronics game for, and students may struggle with picking up some of the controls around some of the games and find the puzzles quite challenging. So it's important to keep that in mind when considering if this is right for you and your class or not. In saying that, I do find these puzzles challenging, but I found Molek-Syntez to be one of the more approachable games out of the Zachtronics range, and indeed they rate it as a difficulty level of 2 out of 5. So it's worth giving it a go. If you are unsure of the game, I highly recommend you get at least one copy and try it out yourself to make a better judgment for whether it's going to fit you and your class. And in terms of using it within a class, I could see it being a good reward for early finishers who finish their work early consistently, something to do on a Friday afternoon after exams, or in the lead up to the holidays, because it's still educational in the sense that they're dealing with real life molecules and looking at bonding, but it's not necessarily entirely aligned with the skills you're trying to teach your students in chemistry in your course. So in that sense, it could be more of a fun, relaxing activity that's still on topic. Look out for our future reviews on more Zachtronics games, and if you have any questions, please post them in the comments section below. Thanks.